Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Heard you had a phenomenal trip to Bixby, America yesterday, Grayson.
God, that was awful.
Explain for the people why it was so awful.
So, I drive out to Bixby, right? And by the way, keep this in mind too. It is hot as God knows what yesterday. So I get to Bixby. I'm setting up all of our equipment for krefsports.tv to do a softball game. And it takes me about 20 minutes. It feels like 105. I'm out there sweating like a slave. And then it starts raining. Like just immediately, in a span of 5 minutes, goes from it is hot as hell to cloud coverage, lightning, and then pouring rain in the span of 5-10 minutes.
A refreshing shower, though. There are worse things.
Well, it was refreshing until I had to realize that I just came all the way out to Bixby for a softball game to get rained out. And now I've got to drive all the way back.
Did you at least take the turnpike?
I did take the turnpike.
Okay, good.
No. Yeah,
Cuts down on drive time significantly.
Yeah, I mean, it was still about a 4-hour round trip. But, don't get me wrong, I still ran in behind some slow drivers.
As one does. That's Oklahoma for you.
That is Oklahoma for you. I mean, if you're going under 70 on the turnpike, I have serious questions.
405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Dorsey Jones GMC is the proud sponsor of Locked In every single day. Dorsey Jones is family-owned and operated, established in 2020, but many of their employees have been there for more than 20 years. The best service technicians, friendly service advisors that put your needs first, and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. But, of course, if you are in the market for a new vehicle, can't do much better than GMC, which offer some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the road today. So check out Dorsey Jones. Cody from the Northeast corner said, "Can he say that?" I think I know what he's referring to.
Oh, I know exactly what he's referring to. Go hit
Yes,
us.
yes.
Go hit us up on YouTube at KREF Sports, and you'll find the answer to that.
I think he's allowed to say that.
By the way, I didn't even say it in the way that I texted my friends yesterday. It is safe for airwaves. I will say that. I mean, I did text them after I got done. No, I swear to you, I look like I had just played a whole basketball game again after I set all that stuff up. I texted my friends and I was like, I am sweating like a slave on a Georgia plantation. That's how much I was sweating. And I can see you trying very hard not to laugh.
I love this show, man. I love this show. Hey, let's get started today with this. We talk a lot of recruiting on this show, obviously. There's not a ton happening in the recruiting world to talk about right now, and there won't be until September 6th rolls around, and the Sooners get a whole bunch of very significant visitors in for the Michigan game, including, but not limited to, a bevy of your commits: Bo Bentley, Brian Harris, DeZephan Walker, several big-time 2027 targets: Peyton Houston, Cooper Hackett, Jalen Brewster, Luke Starcevich, and the like. But for right now, as we sit here on August 20th, in the next week and a half, Grayson, high school football seasons will begin across the country. If they haven't already, OU commit Jake Krell, for instance, played his season opener for IMG Academy a week ago, so they got started a little bit early. But as we look at Oklahoma's class, Grayson, their 2026 recruiting class as it stands right now, 17 commits, some very talented football players in there, some guys that you figure, okay, they can show up and make an impact, make their presence felt for Oklahoma in year one, and some guys that you figure, okay, you give them 2, maybe 3 years, they'll round into form and become key contributors to this football team. So I ask you this to start off. one of the watershed moments on the high school football calendar, I should say the recruiting calendar, for those of us that follow and cover recruiting, is you're looking forward to the first 4 games huddle tapes whenever those drop. Generally, 4 games into a season, guys will go in, they'll update their huddle with all of their top plays from the first 4 games of their season. As you look at Oklahoma's class right now, who is one guy whom you are particularly intrigued to watch on their first 4 games tape?
Ooh, that's a really good question, and one that I wish you would have told me you were going to ask me ahead of time. I'm going to say Bo Bentley. I'm going to see if Bo Bentley can back up what he did leading Salina to a state championship a season ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because I want to see if he irons out any deficiencies. I want to see if there's a jump made. Because going from a junior to a senior year, you've gotten stronger, you've gotten faster, but you've also been exposed to more because he went to Elite 11. He's now been around all of the high-prized recruits, be it defensively, offensively, what have you. I want to see if the mental part of his game has expanded because of that. Does he do things different because of that? Is there a better way he puts balls on receivers because of that? So I'm looking to see, coming off of a state championship, what is your encore going to be if you're Bo Bentley? And that gives us an easier projection to what he could be at the college level. So that's what I'm going to go with to start it off.
It's a great answer. But I think what makes people conflicted, what will make people conflicted about Bo Bentley is that, for instance, if you go flip on his junior tape is wondrous.
Yes.
Jaw-dropping tape.
Absolutely.
It's 10 minutes long. It's a 10-minute long highlight reel of some flat-out unbelievable plays that he made last year with both his arm and his legs. You can't look at Bo Bentley's junior tape and not just find yourself salivating at what that guy has the potential to be at the next level. However, I've made the comparison a lot, and I know this opinion is shared by others in the industry as well. There are a ton of similarities in his game on tape to the version of Jackson Arnold that we saw in high school at Denton Guyer. And so, again, you go look at Jackson Arnold's Denton Guyer tape, it's undeniably amazing.
You're like, hell yeah, I want this guy.
But it probably hits a little bit different now in retrospect because you know how Jackson Arnold played at the University of Oklahoma. So I'm just interested to see how hyped the OU fan base allows themselves to get about Bo Bentley, because Jackson Arnold scarred some folks. Understandably so.
Do you think, to that point, that the hype won't ever approach what Jackson Arnold's was because Bo Bentley so far is not a Gatorade Player of the Year?
I would say, okay, and here's what you got to remember about the Gatorade Player of the Year distinction for Jackson Arnold. That actually came in December of his senior year. So I think he got that either right before he signed with OU or right after he signed with OU. And the hype train was already off the charts.
Well, at that point,
for Jackson Arnold. Yeah, because everybody was watching his games at Denton Guyer. You know, there are a lot of Texas high school football games that get televised on one medium or another. I believe he actually had a couple games his senior year that were televised on one of ESPN's channels.
Yes.
And so everybody was over the moon to get Jackson Arnold up to Norman. And again, if all you did was just look at the tape, it made a ton of sense. Why you couldn't look at the tape and pick apart Jackson Arnold's game. By no means could anybody have anticipated the struggles that he was going to have at Oklahoma come his turn to start in 2024. And obviously those struggles were not all his fault, but especially with the way that the early trajectory of his career at Auburn has taken shape, there are a lot of apprehensions, I think, about what the rest of his collegiate career is going to look like. And I think the trickle-down effect of that has been there are certain OU fans that, especially when you're mindful of the similarities between the way that Bo Bentley plays the quarterback position and the way that Jackson Arnold played the quarterback position, they're not going to let themselves get as excited for Bo Bentley as they did for Jackson Arnold. And maybe that's good, right? Like maybe you're better off not putting astronomically high expectations on a young quarterback before he even gets to campus. But the whole Bo Bentley senior year experience is going to be very, very interesting to track for that reason, because I'm just curious how excited Oklahoma fans allow themselves to get about their quarterback of the future in the 2026 cycle. To me, I would say there are a couple guys that come to mind. A couple of guys right off the bat that I'm particularly eager to see on tape. One of them is the Sooners' newest addition, Tank Carrington, mostly because he's heavier than he's ever been by a pretty wide margin. He's going into his senior year at 272 pounds. And so the twitch and the power that James Carrington possesses, that those things that are inherent to his game, the traits that he owns, are those going to be as conspicuous and as prevalent when he's got an additional, 20 pounds on his frame from where he was a season ago? You would expect the power's going to still be there. Is the quickness, is that twitchiness going to still be present in his game, and to what extent? So that will be interesting to monitor. The other, to me, is Matthew Nelson, because this was the most, what even is the proper word here? Speculative addition.
Scrutinized.
I wouldn't say scrutinized, but
maybe a little strong.
Yeah, well, and yeah, in a sense, that adjective does make some sense. But I think if we're sticking to the realm of the objective here, what you can say about Matthew Nelson, based on the production to this point in his high school career or lack thereof, is that it feels like this is more of a roll of the dice by the Oklahoma staff than any of the other guys that they brought in this 2026 cycle. Now, he's got immense athletic ability. He came and camped at Oklahoma. We got to see it up close. He's about 6'5", 215. Well, I need to check in with him, find out how much weight he's added in advance of his senior year. But Matthew Nelson, to me, like, if that's a guy that turns it on as a senior and immediately shows the region and the country why Jim Nagy and Brent Venables and Miguel Chavis thought so highly of him, you go pluck him out of Bryant, Arkansas, when he had hardly another P4 offer to speak of, and he's got immense stock riser potential this fall if the tape is there. And if not, that's fine. To me, this is a multi-year project any way you slice it. But what if Matthew Nelson proves to be a little bit ahead of schedule based on the senior tape that we see from him this fall?
If he proves to be ahead of schedule, Oklahoma will have to fend off people for him, because there will be people that come calling trying to flip him. Here's the thing with Matthew Nelson, though. We know Matthew Nelson is a specimen as an athlete. I want to see him become a football player. And I think that's what that senior tape is going to show, is can he become more of a football player and not just an athlete that happens to use that to be pretty good at football. So that's with Matthew Nelson. Tank Carrington, I think you hit the nail right on the head, because you can find a lot of DTs with a lot of power. Like we talk about that with every defensive tackle target that Oklahoma has had. But very rarely do we talk about them generating as many whiffs on the interior of the offensive line like Tank Carrington does. So with an extra 20 pounds on, still being 17 years old, by the way, that can make a big difference. Does he still retain that sort of mobility that offensive linemen just haven't been able to figure out what to do with through his time in high school?
PSA from Slim Brady on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. If you or a loved one have had Seth Luttrell as your quarterback coach, you may be entitled to financial compensation.
How much money did Seth Luttrell cost Jackson Arnold?
How much money did he cost Jackson Arnold? I don't know, man. But I will say, I know Jackson Arnold got paid handsomely to go to Auburn.
This is true.
Again, I've brought it up before. Jackson Arnold is not only going to be the guy that either sinks or keeps afloat Hugh Freeze's tenure as Auburn's head coach, but I think depending on how he performs, that might retroactively change a lot of folks' opinions about the 2024 season and who was primarily at fault, because I think the consensus opinion right now is that it's Seth Luttrell, but what if Jackson Arnold is just bad at Auburn this fall?
If Jackson
Arnold is just bad at Auburn, you may get some folks coming around and asking, were we too hard maybe on Seth Luttrell, or did he just not have it made with this guy?
Was Seth Luttrell handcuffed to a bad quarterback?
Mm-hmm. You have a ticket on the Titanic with Jackson Arnold. Puerto Rican Sooner says, I can't wait to watch Hugh Freeze blow a gasket on the sidelines. This is maybe one of the most interesting texts we've ever received because I can't, it's not really something I can explain, but this is kind of a flawless description of the Jackson Arnold experience, at least last year. Recruiting Boomer says, watching Jackson Arnold play QB is like watching a guy who doesn't realize he's the QB.
Oh, God.
I don't even know where to begin unpacking that, but in my head it makes sense.
It makes a lot
that's
of
a
sense.
very accurate characterization. That's kind of how it felt. No, that's not kind of. That's exactly how it felt at times last year watching Jackson Arnold.
He looked lost so many times. He just looked glass-eyed and played that way.
John from Tulsa says, I've been saying Arnold was the problem last year. He made our O-line look worse than what they were, too. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Again, we all have theories right now. I feel that at the conclusion of the 2025 season, or heck, maybe at the midpoint.
I was about to say, I don't know if we'll have to wait till the conclusion to figure this
maybe
one
by
out.
September 20th, we will have a very clear answer as to what the root of all evil last year for Oklahoma on the offensive side of the ball truly was. One final text from Slim Brady. Following up on his PSA, he says, that is why I am confident Bentley won't be worse than Arnold. So
That's a very low bar.
you have Slim Brady laying it all at the feet of Seth Luttrell. You have John from Tulsa laying it all at the feet of Jackson Arnold. You have a lot of folks, I think, that are somewhere in between. Only time will tell. Okay, folks, 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Keep chiming in. Keep hollering at us throughout the show. We'll get to some of your feedback and questions on the other side. Keep it here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Are you in need of purchasing your own health insurance? Are you turning 65 and confused about Medicare? Are you an employer looking at offering benefits to your staff? Call the agents at Allison Insurance. They'll sort through the confusion. They're not captive to just one company, and they'll get the best option for you. Don't get frustrated. Call Allison Insurance at 800-580-5587 or 745-2968. Allison Insurance. They are the experts.
Feeling stuck in your current home? Now is the best time to make a move. Home Creations is making home ownership more affordable with low interest rate opportunities and special financing. Don't wait. Live like a champion today. Call Holly at 405-364-9999 to find your dream home.
364-9999, it's Home Creations.
Mike Steele here for Lasher Home Comfort Systems, your trusted home comfort experts in the Oklahoma City metro area. Tim Lasher and his team have more than 130 years of combined experience. They recognize a significant number of homeowners live with inadequate home comfort systems. They specialize in diagnosing your home system issues while providing more efficiency and reducing your utility costs. As an authorized dealer of American Standard, Tim can service your residence or business. Call Tim and his team at 405-579-3113. Lasher Home Comfort Systems.
Hi, Josh Helmer here for my friends at Auto Image USA in Norman, where they have everything you need to upgrade your ride. At Auto Image USA, they have so many services for you like paint correction, window tint, paint protection film, or maybe you want that boat, RV, or car looking brand new in the interior again with the top-of-the-line detailing. Plus, you can get their Enviro Shield paint and interior fabric protection backed by their 3 or 5-year warranty. Call them today, 405-321-4444. They are the best. Check them out.
Have you or someone you know suffered a loss to your home or business from the recent storms? Before you accept a settlement, call Brown O'Haver at 405-735-5510. Brown O'Haver is a local-based company helping Oklahomans with claims since 1988 with preparation and expert analysis detailing your loss and insurance settlement. As your trusted consultant, Brown O'Haver can give you peace of mind and make sure you're getting what's yours. Call Brown O'Haver today, 405-735-5510, and make sure they're working for you.
Do you like to stand out in a crowd while wearing the best in OU apparel? The Jimmy Austin Pro Shop carries the best brands you can wear to work or even dress up events. Lines such as Lululemon, Travis Mathew, FootJoy, Greg Norman, Grayson, or Turtleson with the OU and Jimmy Austin logo are sure to catch everyone's eye. You don't have to be a golfer to shop at Jimmy Austin. They also do corporate special orders for you and your company. Call them today, 405-325-6716, or visit theougolfclub.com for more information.
Your dream home is right around the corner, and at Stride Bank, we're here to make it a reality. With competitive rates, personalized service, and streamlined processes, buying your first home or your forever home has never been easier. Let Stride's experienced mortgage team guide you every step of the way, from pre-qualification to closing. With local roots and national reach, Stride Bank is your go-to partner for all your banking needs. Stride Bank, your trusted financial partner since 1913. Find out more at stridebank.com. Stride Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Being a family member's caregiver can be rewarding and challenging. Besides taking an emotional and physical toll, it can also take a real financial toll. Find out if you're eligible to get paid for the care you provide at the AARP Foundation Paid for Care Hub. Developed with support from United Healthcare, this free online tool can help you search compensation programs and explore your options. Go to paidforcare.aarpfoundation.org to learn more.
It is Locked In here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Parker Thune alongside Grayson Singleton. Hanging out with y'all in the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, I should say, and on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439. Frisco Sooner hit us up and said, Parker, I'm not sure if you remember or not, but there was a guy that used to call in all the time when Jackson Arnold was a senior in high school and say that Jackson Arnold was not the answer and that he could not handle big moments. I thought he might have been from Denton. I think we all piled on that dude pretty hard. I know I did. I'm sorry to say it, but that dude is starting to look like Nostradamus. I don't recall that Frisco Sooner. I do recall there was somebody from that area that was very anti-Michael Hawkins. I do remember that.
Really?
Yes, there was somebody that every single time we would mention Michael Hawkins' name, throughout the 2023 season when he was a senior in high school, would send some text bashing Michael Hawkins and opining that he has no future at the University of Oklahoma. I don't question that there might have been a similar take from somebody down there on Jackson Arnold. I just don't have any explicit memory of it. I do remember it very distinctly with Hawkins, though.
I will say this, in terms of how their Oklahoma tenures end up, Michael Hawkins is going to have a much better opportunity to succeed, because even though Jackson Arnold didn't play great last year, I can name about 5 different things that didn't help the situation and probably compounded how much worse he would have looked. I think a lot of those have already been fixed or ironed out by the time Michael Hawkins gets a chance to start, if that time ever comes.
The Waffler says, Boomer Sooner, boys. Did you hear that earlier?
That was the greatest piece of radio, or one of the greatest pieces of radio I have ever heard in my entire life. That was fantastic by Dusty.
Oh, props to Dusty. And the audio was great, too.
I know.
Like, you would have figured, he's on speakerphone with some rando on a street in Ireland. Oh, the audio's going to suck. But no, it was flawless. No, it was great execution by Dusty.
And also, by the way, shout out to Dari for just letting that go on.
Great execution. Yeah, Bob Stoops would be proud.
Well done.
Chris from Knoxville says, be careful, gents. A to Z Sports is going to write an article about y'all bashing Jackson Arnold. No, look, I've said it before. I hope Jackson Arnold succeeds because he was nothing but a model citizen at the University of Oklahoma. He just didn't play very good football. But personally, never going to hear me say a negative thing about him. Was it Blake that got in hot water with some outlet that aggregated a comment he made about Arch?
Yeah, because he called Cooper Manning a nobody.
Oh, okay. Well, yes, that.
Which I was like, I get your point. I probably wouldn't have said it, but and also like to his defense on that one, it is easy to forget that Cooper Manning was cold before he had the spinal injury.
Yeah, he was all right. He was all right.
He was solid.
And when Arch popped off that long run against UTSA last year, I think it surprised plenty. But the ones that were acquainted with Cooper's game, I think, it did not surprise them because Cooper could run.
Because people were thinking, which Manning son all of a sudden has 4.5 speed? It's like, nope, the one that never made it.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me because it happens in season from time to time where something that gets said on these airwaves will get aggregated by another outlet, whether it's a local outlet in a different market or some national outlet like A to Z Sports. But I remember that happened Tennessee week last year because TJ hates Josh Heupel, and TJ made a series of comments about how he hates Josh Heupel. And I don't know why some beat reporter from Tennessee either was listening in or caught wind of those comments somehow, heard it on the podcast. I don't know. But wrote a whole article about how this Oklahoma radio host hates Josh Heupel despite the fact that he led Oklahoma to the 2000 national championship.
Why did TJ hate Josh Heupel?
It's probably because, I'll be honest, I've had some interactions with Josh Heupel. I brought this up. Josh Heupel, to me, in the interactions I've had with him, has never come off as the most cordial character.
Really?
And so, and there are others who have interacted with him and that have brought this up on the text line as well that can relate with and resonate with that experience of Josh Heupel. So I don't know exactly why TJ has such beef with Heupel, but I assume it has something to do with that.
Hey, by the way, I told you this earlier before you went on with Steely. I had some questions about your depth chart projections.
Oh, yeah, let's dig into this.
Okay, so first thing that stood out to me, by the way, there's not a whole lot I would change on this. First thing that stood out to me, no Jake Taylor on the depth chart.
Now, by the way, folks, before we get too deep in the weeds here, I want to remind you, if you want to access this depth chart projection based on camp intel so far, it is available to you at ouinsider.com if you're a member over there. If you're not, jump on board, get your first week for $1. Try it out for a week. Basically, spend $1 to see my depth chart projection. And if you don't like all of the other content that's right at your fingertips at ouinsider.com, feel free to cancel after a week. There will be no hard feelings. But I tend to think you will want to stick around once you realize how much good information you get fed over there. But yes, no Jake Taylor, and the reason why is because, for one thing, he did miss a big chunk of camp with that concussion that he suffered. And also, in his absence, Logan Howland slid over from left tackle to right tackle and played pretty well there.
To the point that you think he is a better number 2 at that position than Jake Taylor.
I do. In isolation, in a vacuum, I think I would probably take Logan Howland over Jake Taylor, period.
Okay.
So with him at right tackle, yes, I would give him the edge over Jake Taylor, especially mindful of the fact that Howland has been active for all of camp and Taylor has not. Derek Simmons, when he's healthy, is your starter there. I don't think that's much of a question. And then I see Michael Fusi as the backup left tackle behind Jacob Sexton.
All right.
So,
cool.
yeah.
Okay. Second question I had for you was the corners. And you told me this was one of the harder ones that you had to do.
Yeah, man. Because you had to leave somebody off, right? I was just projecting the 2 deep, and so
now obviously
2 deep by 2 corner spots, 4 corners.
Now, obviously, no Eli Bowen factoring into this because you're projecting for week 1.
Correct.
Which I'm guessing that's pretty definitive now that he will not be available.
Yeah, he's not going to play against Illinois State.
I have another question about just off of that, but I'll put a pin in that.
Okay.
But no Jacoby Johnson on the 2 deep for corner.
And again, I tried to put that disclaimer up front before I got into projections was, hey, just because you don't see somebody on the 2 deep does not mean you're not going to see them on the field. You will see Jacoby Johnson at corner. You will see Xavier Robinson at running back. You'll see Zion Kearney at wide receiver. Those guys and others will play a lot. Caden Helms at tight end being another great example. But, yeah, you had to leave somebody off at corner. So, to me, I decided to roll with the guys that have been the talk of camp. And those have been, in no particular order, Davon Jordan, Cortland Guillory, and Jeremiah Newcomb at that position.
You think Davon Jordan and Jeremiah Newcomb have passed up Jacoby Johnson?
I don't know that anybody has passed up anybody. And I stipulated this in the article. I said, look, there's this battle is still ongoing and probably will continue all the way up until the final days before the Sooners season opener, because I think there are two positions on this roster where things are still pretty unsettled, and those would be cornerback and left guard. Those, to me, are the most unsettled position battles on the roster.
So that takes me to another question that I had. Heath Ozida right now, the leader over Eddie Pierre-Louis.
Yeah, I would say the last couple days have changed my mind in that regard. At the outset of camp, I thought EPL had the inside track. A lot of folks in that building thought EPL had the inside track. To Heath Ozida's credit, man, he has come on really strong in the face of that competition, and he has leveled up his play to the point where, as of right now, I would consider him to be the leader in the clubhouse to start at left guard for Oklahoma next week.
And who did you have at right tackle? For Bechiwiwu. So
at right guard, yes.
Yeah, right guard, sorry. So basically what you're going to have is from left to right, Sexton, Ozida, Everett, and Wiwu. And then with a newcomer being Simmons.
Yeah.
That's a veteran line that's been in the same room for a while now. And I think that's really important to not overestimate, or underestimate rather, is that offensive line continuity, even though they didn't play a whole lot of football together last year, they know each other. They've been in locker rooms with each other. They hang out with each other. They know the language of each other. They know how they communicate. That is a really big deal there, is that you have 4 of the 5, all of them next to each other, that have played together. That's a really positive sign, if that is indeed what the starting 5 is going to be.
Quick aside on the Josh Heupel front. A-Train says, Josh Heupel was an a-hole when he played here on campus and is a bigger a-hole when he interviewed last year as the Tennessee head coach before our game. I either did not hear or don't remember the interview that you're referring to, so I'll take your word for it, A-Train. But another 4 or 5 listener says, worked for the program for 2 years and agree with Parker on having similar interactions with Josh Heupel.
Fair
so
enough.
He's evidently just a prickly type of character in personal interactions.
JD from Wacomas gets into another one that I had. I think this was the last big one that I had. Can you share where you think Kanik falls in the tight end depth chart? So you had him as the second tight end behind Carson Kent. Do you still hold to the opinion, though, that Caden Helms is the most polished tight end?
Caden Helms, I think, is going to be Oklahoma's best all-around weapon in the passing game.
Oh.
I want to believe with Kanik. It's just I think I'm going to have to see it before I drink all of the Kool-Aid on him. And I did project him second team behind Carson Kent, as you said. But Caden Helms, it's just so unfortunate that he broke his hand when he did, man, because
– and that's what I was going to ask.
Boy, he was really, really making a move there for the starting role. And I think there's still a chance, still a very realistic chance, that he winds up earning the starting job at some point in 2025 for Oklahoma. The depth chart on week 1, needless to say, is not going to be the same as the depth chart come week 13. There will be changes along the way. And so for right now, I like Carson Kent to break camp as Oklahoma's starter at tight end. But I do think it'll be a committee approach. I think you'll see a lot of Carson Kent. I think you'll see a lot of Jaron Kanik. I think you'll see some Caden Helms. You'll see some Will Huggins. The one guy, and he's a guy I like a lot, just overall athletically, but just haven't heard much on him amongst that group, is Cade McIntyre. So feels like whatever you get from Cade McIntyre in 2025, just chalk it up in the win category. But Oklahoma's going to have a lot of dudes there vying for snaps at tight end. Carson Kent, per everyone I've spoken with, has emerged in camp as the guy that feels like the safest bet all around, which is understandable and tracks when you look at what he did last year at Kennesaw State. He played good ball, albeit at a lower level, and he's got a very well-rounded game. Very well-rounded game. And you throw in the experience factor, I think that's the reason why Kent has kind of become the guy that projects as the week 1 starter as of now.
Kanik, the Kryptonian, asks, or says rather, that is a terrible starting 5 up front.
Oh, here we go.
If they started last year, they do not need to be starting this year. They were terrible.
Okay,
Did they ever play together last year?
Mr. Kryptonian, couple things here. First off, yes, the offensive line was terrible last year. Individually, none of these guys were terrible. Jake Sexton, first off, he didn't play the last third of the season because he got injured in that Ole Miss game, and that kept him out for the remainder of the year. And he was also shuttling back and forth between two different positions, left tackle and left guard, when he was healthy. Heath Ozida, man, he got a little bit of a trial by fire. He had to play last year when he probably wasn't quite ready. But he learned, he improved, and down the stretch, he started to play some good ball for Oklahoma. He's also a year older, a year stronger, a year more technically proficient. Guys can and do become better players over the course of the offseason. And if Heath Ozida is outpacing Eddie Pierre-Louis right now on the practice field, and by all accounts he is, then I tend to believe you're going to see a better version of Heath Ozida than you saw a season ago. Troy Everett at center, just listen to what guys like Gabe Eichert and Bill Bedenbaugh have to say about Troy Everett. He's a leader. He's the anchor, the center spot. And he's been able to keep Jake Michaela at bay in a battle that, honestly, I and others within the program figured would probably go Michaela's way at the start of camp. Febechi Wiwu at right guard, man, he was nothing if not consistent last year. Was he spectacular at any point? I don't know that I would go that far, but he was consistent.
And he was available.
Derek Simmons would be the one newcomer, sixth-year senior. I believe he's allowed one sack in his entire collegiate career. We'll see what it looks like against SEC edge rushers, but he was one of the more coveted offensive tackles in the portal. There's reason to feel good about what he can add to this group. And, again, you talk to anyone in the program, they will tell you, yes, Derek Simmons, well beyond where we thought he was going to be when he showed up, and is a guy that ought to keep a stranglehold on that right tackle job throughout the season. He's just got to stay healthy. All these guys got to stay healthy. Chris from Knoxville says, people forget Sexton was kicking booty in the Ole Miss game. Then he got injured. Jacob Sexton, when he has been available and been able to focus on one singular position, has played some really good ball at the University of Oklahoma. It's been a very tumultuous career for him. And it's unfortunate because he is an outstanding guy with outstanding character who is all about the University of Oklahoma, always has been, and he's never really gotten his shot to flex what he is capable of for a full 13-game slate. He should have that opportunity this year, and he should have it at the position at which he is most comfortable, which is left tackle. So I'm excited to see what it looks like. 405-651-3439. One more segment of Locked In is on the way. Get your questions in on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line as we talk OU football and recruiting with you until 3 o'clock. Keep it here on the Ref, the Home of Sooner fans. We'll be back.
Nobody covers your team like the Ref. If it's Sooner news and talk you want, it's right here all season long. This is your home for Sooner fans, the Ref Radio Sports Network, KREF.com, and worldwide on the KREF app.
Don't miss out on OKC's hottest entertainment at the Showplace Theater with acts like
Bret Michaels, September 27th. Collective Soul, October 17th. And the Oak Ridge Boys, November 28th.
Riverwind is OKC's favorite casino experience.
The year 2019, we went on a family vacation and we went to an amusement park. And when you're a smoker, a lot of walking and that doesn't really mix. So I found myself being really winded and out of shape. And it was like, I'm too young for this. I wanted to use the Oklahoma Tobacco Helpline because I knew that I could get resources for free. It was a key part to my success in quitting smoking.
Visit us at okhelpline.com to get started. A program of TSET.
Back to school means back to routines, and seeing a Norman Regional doctor should be one of them. Sports physicals, wellness visits, sick care, chronic condition management for the kids and for you. Norman Regional has primary care clinics across South Central Oklahoma, so don't wait until someone's sick. Start the school year off strong with a family medicine provider who can treat everyone. Find your family doctor by calling 405-515-5000 or book an appointment online at normanregional.com.
School is in, football is on, and the Pretzel Cheddar Club is here at Chick-fil-A. Visit us on 12th Avenue in Norman and get your hands on this delicious sandwich piled with lettuce, tomato, cheddar cheese, and applewood smoked bacon. All inside a toasted pretzel bun with original spicy or grilled chicken. Dip into our creamy Dijon mustard sauce and wash it down with a crisp cherry berry drink. Call the 12th Avenue Chick-fil-A in Norman at 405-310-3189 or visit us on the app.
Hi, folks. This is Larry Knippelmeyer here at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, USA. Conveniently located just 15 minutes south of Oklahoma City and 10 minutes west of Norman. With all the talk of inflation, market crashes, and tariffs, it's no wonder we're all afraid to make that new vehicle purchase. Now, with that being said, there will probably never be a better time to purchase your new Chevrolet at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet. No price increase or tariffs on our huge selection of in-stock vehicles. Pickups, SUVs, cars, and even Corvettes, all marked down and ready to sell. Interest rates are good, used vehicle trade-ins are high, and rebates and incentives are back on most new Chevrolets. So hop in that old vehicle and come see us at Knippelmeyer Chevrolet in Blanchard, where nobody beats our deal. Or give us a call at 405-485-3333 or catch us on the web at knippelmeyer.com. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
From the bench to your defense. Tracy Schumacher, a former district judge, former Cleveland County prosecutor, and now your voice in a DUI fight. Your driver's license could be at risk. Time is critical. If you've been charged with DUI in Cleveland, McLean, Grady, or Garvin County, you need someone who knows how the system works. Schumacher Law Group at 405-701-1882 or visit lawgroupok.com. From the bench to your defense when experience matters.
A happy place comes in many colors. One that leaves you feeling refreshed. Something that gets you all fired up. Or gives you the space to chill. Whatever your color, bring happiness home with CertaPro Painters and make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Get started today at CertaPro.com. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Welcome back to Locked In. Parker Thune, Grayson, Singleton winding down with you on a Wednesday. 405-651-3439 if you want to chime in on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. A reminder, our OU training camp talk is brought to you by ROI Real Estate, www.roi-re.com. Owned and managed by Isaac Christian. Isaac and the ROI team have over 25 years of experience in the real estate industry. They're capable of handling all things real estate related. Again, ROI Real Estate is the proud sponsor of our OU training camp talk. I mean, look, I figure I probably should address it. I don't really want to, but at a certain point, if I keep ignoring the questions, I think people's concern is going to mount beyond what is reasonable. So the situation with Michael Fusi is that he was hospitalized yesterday. It's heat-related hospitalization out of an abundance of caution based on everyone I've talked to, based on all the conversations I've had, Grayson. It doesn't sound like it's anything to worry about in the long term with Fusi. All of his vitals looked good when he got to the hospital, I was told. So obviously, scary moment briefly there, but sounds like he's going to be okay. And as far as when he gets back on the practice field, I frankly do not know. Like, I don't have much of a frame of reference previously for something like this happening at OU that you can compare it to. And so he might be out there on the practice field again today. It might be a few days, might be a week. I don't know. I really don't. But again, not something that is a mountain. It is rather a molehill.
And he may not view it this way, but there is no need to rush him back onto the practice field.
Yeah, I would agree.
Fall camp has already been an enormous success for him. I mean, he's projected to make the 2D as a true freshman, and that's unheard of from Bill Bedenbaugh. It's also unheard of for Bill Bedenbaugh to compliment people. and he's already gotten that one out of him. No, Michael Fusi has been fantastic. He has probably outshined expectations even as high as they were. So there's no rush for him. There's nothing more positive that he can do other than just get more reps. So no need to rush him back. Wait till he's ready. If it takes a couple days, no big deal.
A couple of good texts from Tanner Lurie. I called them texts. They're messages on the YouTube chat. A couple of good messages from Tanner that I want to get around to. For one, in response to that texter last segment who basically said, why are we sending out the same offensive line that we sent out last year? Tanner said, doubt Bedenbaugh's development at your own risk. And it is worth noting that some guys that have been afterthoughts at one time or another, or have just appeared to be middling commodities on the offensive line at the University of Oklahoma, have improved drastically under Bedenbaugh's tutelage. You want to look at recent examples? Wanye Morris transferred to Oklahoma in 2021 as a former 5-star recruit who had been a 2-year starter at Tennessee. He did not even start for Oklahoma as a junior in 2021. Did not start. Spent the season riding the bench behind, who were the tackles at that point? Anton Harrison and Tyrese Robinson. Tyrese Robinson was playing right tackle for Oklahoma at that point. And then in 2022, Wanye Morris not only sees the field, not only emerges as a starter, but plays well enough that he leaves school a year earlier than he had to, I should say, and winds up a third-round draft pick of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Guyton is another great example. Tyler Guyton showed up to Oklahoma. He was a backup. He was a depth guy. He was not ready to go play offensive tackle in the Big 12. By the time he left, Bill Bedenbaugh would turn him into a first-round draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
There are some guys that don't need a ton of development. For instance, Anton Harrison showed up, and it was immediately apparent to basically everybody that dude's a freakazoid. That dude's going to be an NFL offensive tackle. And you give Bill Bedenbaugh one of those guys, it just makes his job all the easier. And I think Oklahoma has two of those guys right now in Fusi and Foje. It's just a matter of timing with them. But, yes, Bill Bedenbaugh can develop. There is no question whatsoever about that. His resume speaks for itself. Tanner also asked about PJ Adibawara. I think you're going to see PJ this fall. He's missed some practice time throughout camp with a dinged-up hamstring. So, man, it feels like
it just doesn't end for him.
It never ends, yes. You don't get a completely healthy PJ at any point. At least you haven't since 2023, first part of his true freshman season. Now, man, I think you're going to see PJ. I think he's going to play snaps. I think he can play on the strong side or on the weak side, depending on the situation. And I think he can make an impact. But I would be lying if I said I'd heard a ton about him from the practice field this fall. Not nearly as much as I've heard about guys like R. Mason Thomas and Taylor Wine and Marvin Jones and Danny Okoye, who look like the top 4 options right now at defensive end. I'd love it if PJ were to elbow his way into the mix, but to me, at least to start the season, he's a rotational guy. He's a reserve. He's a situational guy.
Also on the YouTube chat, Harmony Rockets, interesting name, says, Parker, will Burks be playing on the outside, or will him and Satania both rotate at slot? How have they been doing in practice, or have they been doing it in practice? What do you have on your depth chart prediction?
Yeah, so interesting question, Harmony. The answer is, and I was told this in very explicit terms yesterday by a well-placed source on the matter. Ben Arbuckle, in his offense, the receivers are going to play everywhere. There's going to be a lot of rotation. There's going to be a lot of mixing and matching. There's going to be a lot of unique personnel combinations. And so you will see Deion Burks and Isaiah Satania play the slot. You will see Deion Burks and Isaiah Satania play outside receiver. For the purposes of the depth chart, I have Satania projected as your starting Y receiver, the slot, and I have Burks projected as your starting Z receiver. So I think that's probably the way that it's going to appear on the depth chart, but I couldn't tell you that with certainty because what you're going to need to get accustomed to with Ben Arbuckle's offense is that you're going to see a bunch of receivers rotating in and out of the football game, and Oklahoma has a lot of quality depth at the position, guys that they can rotate in and out. One guy that I was told is coming on strong, especially now that he's starting to get healthy again and might have a role in 2025. Some people are going to forget this guy existed. KJ Daniels. So,
little man, right?
Yeah, well, not as little as Zion Reagan.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Zion Reagan's his little man.
Yes, but I mean, if KJ Daniels becomes a contributor, if a guy like Josiah Martin, who's really had some strong moments in spring and in fall both, becomes a contributor, man, Oklahoma's rolling 9-10 deep with wide receivers that they could throw out there in any combination, in any scenario.
And by the way, that's modern football too, because offensive coordinators more so now are very cognizant of matchups. So if a matchup dictates it, let's slide Deion Burks outside. Oh, and by the way, we'll put Isaiah Satania on the same side in the slot. Good luck covering that.
And I know Ivan Carrion is a wide receiver and not a tight end, but we all recall the litany of plays that Mark Andrews made from the slot for Oklahoma.
Yeah, and that's modern tight end play too.
Yeah, if you wanted to deploy Carrion in the slot, you could do that. So the diversity of personnel, and that's one thing that has been specifically cited to me in sourced conversations throughout the month, is Oklahoma has so much more diversity of personnel in terms of who's available this year than they did last year, and that's going to help. But all of those guys, the way that they complement one another and the amount of matchup problems that you can create with each of their skill sets individually should make John Mateer's job a lot easier, operating within the confines of an offense that he is exceptionally familiar with.
How about this question? Angry Ronnie says, Omasigo will surpass McKenzie, right? Which was an interesting development on your 2D because you had McKenzie ahead of Omasigo.
Yeah, a couple questions about Omasigo. I wanted to see how Angry Ronnie spelled Omasigo's name. Nobody can get this guy's name right, man. And it's been the case. Yeah, it's been the case since he was a recruit. Like, it was truly an entertaining game when Sammy was committed to Oklahoma and people were tracking his senior season to see how many different ways people could come up with to spell Sammy Omasigo's name. But, in all candor, the word during spring practice was, boy, Sammy's putting some real heat on Kobe McKenzie for that middle linebacker job. Haven't heard as much of that this fall. Kobe, as his teammates say, is unk, for one thing.
Why? Because he's engaged?
I would imagine that's part of it, but he's just got a very mature voice. If you listen to him, he sounds like he's 40 years old, you know, and he's just... And also he's playing a position where you have to embrace a bit of a leadership role. Not a bit of a leadership role. You do have to embrace a leadership role and be willing, like we were talking about yesterday, to be the conduit between Brent Venables and the rest of the defense on the field. And so I like Kobe to start off the season as Oklahoma's starting middle linebacker. Kobe and Kip, that's what it looks like it's going to be. Now, naturally, you're going to play more than two linebackers. Mm-hmm. So I would figure you will see Kendall Daniels at linebacker quite a bit. I figure you will see Sammy Omasigo at linebacker quite a bit. You are also likely to see Owen Heineke at linebacker quite a bit.
Owen Heineke over James Nesta.
Yes.
There was a lot of positive buzz about Nesta over the course of fall camp.
Yeah. And Nesta is another guy kind of like Omasigo where spring reviews were good. Fall reviews have been kind of non-existent. He hasn't been proactively brought up as much as a guy like Owen Heineke has. And, yeah, it's been indicated to me that Heineke's going to get a lot of run, especially in the early going for Oklahoma, to see how real that is. Because, obviously, you're talking about a former walk-on who started out his college career as a lacrosse player.
Right.
So, who knows, man? Who knows when you get out there and you're playing SEC ball what Owen Heineke can provide. But if he's as reliable on the field on Saturdays as he has been on the practice field to this point, this offseason for Oklahoma, that's something else to be excited about.
One-star Chalky Chuck said, It's spelled Sammy. I don't know what's so difficult about that.
Zach from Guthrie, you got it right. Well done. Well done. I am also, and this is not going to be an issue exclusive to Oklahoma fans. This is going to be an issue for the entire country. How many times are you going to see Jaden Ott's name misspelled this fall?
His first name?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was
because
like, that's the more complicated one.
Yeah, it's Jaden.
Jaden.
Jaydn.
Yeah.
You have a DN at the end.
Jaden.
It's odd. It's going to take some getting used to for certain folks. Because you want to spell it Jadyn or Jayden, as the case may be. All right, folks. That's all for us here on Locked In. For Grayson Singleton, I'm Parker Thune. Thanks for tuning in today. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place to do it all again. Coming up next, it's The Rush with Teddy Lehman and Tyler McComas. Keep it here on The Ref.
Football. You love it.